Bob Bowlsby has stepped down as commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. Is he simply just retiring, or is this part of a bigger picture plan? Will this move help the Big 12 prevent Texas and Oklahoma from leaving? Let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz. Welcome to Couz's Corner. Come on in. Make yourself at home. Let me pour you out a shot of top shelf college sports content. Bob Bowlsby, news came out today, Tuesday, August the 5th. Bob Bowlsby has resigned as commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. Reports are saying that they are looking to find his replacement, hopefully within the next 90 days, to have someone in place to navigate these turbulent times that now are college athletics, conference expansion, everything else that's going on. But I'm not here to talk about who will replace Bob Bowlsby. That's not the purpose of this video. I'm going to tie this in to something I heard just a few days ago, thanks to my good friend, Outlaw of College Football. There are some rumblings going on right now. You can believe it if you want to or not believe it. I don't really care, but there are apparently some rumblings, or at least some rumors, that Texas and Oklahoma, or at least Texas, is considering remaining in the Big 12 and not going to the SEC after all. I know, sounds crazy, doesn't it? Sounds crazy for them to pass up all that money, but maybe there's a plan behind the scenes. Maybe, just maybe, they're trying to lure Nebraska back to the Big 12. Or maybe the Big 12 is trying to form some kind of an alliance or even a merger with the Pac-12. Is that possible? And I think the Bob Bowlsby thing could be a part of that. Do you think it's coincidence that these rumblings started about a week ago or ballpark or a few days ago, and then all of a sudden Bob Bowlsby resigns? It's no secret. I don't think Oklahoma and Texas have been fans of Bob Bowlsby. I think that's been pretty obvious based on what's happened in the last few years. There's been some disagreements with Texas and, financial obligations and how much money other schools in the conference get versus them. The whole Longhorn Network thing, there are some disagreements there. Oklahoma has not been happy about their TV slots, about the 11 a.m. TV slots they've had for several games. So there's been a lot of disagreements, you could say, a lot of headbutting between the Big 12 and Texas and Oklahoma while Bob Bowlsby has been the commissioner there. So maybe this is part of a grander plan to prevent these two teams from leaving. But Couz, they've already got 4 teams to replace them. If you remember, Couz's Corner fam, think about this. If you remember, just a few days ago, Mike Gundy at a press conference said that he thinks in the next 5 years, the Big 12 will have 14 teams because there's power in numbers. It's very possible Mike Gundy knows something we don't. He is the head coach of one of the teams in the Big 12. And if Texas and Oklahoma do decide to stay, the other 4 teams still come in. Guess how many teams the Big 12 will have? 14. I'm telling you, folks, there seems to be a lot of coincidences here. These rumblings I'm hearing, these rumors that are out and about now about Texas not wanting to go to the SEC now. I've heard that they might want to lure Nebraska back to the Big 12 to increase the TV revenue. There's also rumblings that the Big 12 and Pac-12 could form some kind of merger. And that's not far-fetched, folks. If you go back as far as 2019, before this conference realignment stuff ever even started, before it was even talked about, the Pac-12 and Big 12 looked at an alliance then. You can Google it. You can find it on the internet. Former Kansas State president Joe, I think it's Wefald, W-E-F-A-L-D, Wefald, was tasked by current West Virginia President Gordon Gee, the president of my team, my school that I root for, by finding a way to strengthen the Big 12 Conference. But he asked Mr. Wefald, who had apparently recently retired as president of Kansas State, to work on this project and try to find a way to strengthen the Big 12. Well, the way he did it, he came up with an alliance between the Big 12 and the Pac 12, where all three non-conference Big 12 games would be played against Pac 12 schools and vice versa. So there would be no more games against Group of Five opponents, no more games against FCS opponents, and no more games against even other Power Five programs. It'd be every non-conference game between Big 12 schools and Pac 12 schools would be played against one another. And it would be spread out throughout the season. So it wouldn't be it wouldn't be front loaded at the beginning of the season. It would all be spread out. It was an 11-page proposal that Mr. Whiffall put together. And I may be butchering his name. I apologize, Kansas State fans, if that's the case. But he had an 11-page proposal he put together, and Gordon Gee, according to this article that I read, says he felt it was a genius idea. Now, Gordon Gee wouldn't respond to comment and has not commented on this himself, to my knowledge. But Mr. Whiffall did. He did do an interview about it and did talk to some media about it, and he claims that Gordon Gee loved the idea and was behind it. Now, according to Bob Bowlsby, apparently, while he did not come out and say it verbatim, his comments about that situation were that, well, Whiffall doesn't speak for the Big 12. This is an independent. He's not part of the Big 12. So that tells me that he probably was not a fan of this. He also says it was impractical. It was impractical, and they wouldn't be able to carry it out because most of the teams in the conference already had non-conference games scheduled against other Power 5 teams throughout the 2020s because they make schedules years in advance. And they would cost him money to get out of these schedules. But apparently Gordon Gee felt like they could make it happen. So, who knows? And if that happens, think about the TV revenue. The Big 12 Pac-12 merger would tie up. You would basically dominate the entire western part of the country. Now, as a West Virginia fan, I think it's an absolutely terrible idea. I do not want West Virginia playing our out-of-conference games in California or Oregon. We are already at a huge travel disadvantage. And if this were to happen, which is probably a long shot, but if this merger or alliance would happen with the Pac-12, I would want West Virginia to get the hell out of Dodge, man, because that is just a terrible idea for us to have to travel all the way to Oregon, California, and Washington for our out-of-conference games when we already have to travel thousands of miles for our conference games. It would be, in my opinion, for Gordon Gee to even support that is idiotic. I'll be honest with you. I like Gordon Gee. I respect him. I understand he might be looking out for the good of the conference, but what about the good of your own university, Gordon? No, this whole thing is just interesting to me about this whole thing with Bowlsby announcing his resignation is just a few days after the rumblings started about Texas and Oklahoma maybe staying in the Big 12. To me, I don't know, man. I just think there's too much smoke there. And then the comments by Gundy, too, in the same week. Come on, folks. Something's up here, in my opinion. Now, I could be overthinking it. Maybe I am. You let me know in the comment section. Am I overthinking this? Is Bowlsby simply just retiring because he wants to spend more time with his family, which is very possible and would make sense. He is 69 years old. He's been at it for 40 years. Maybe he's just ready to move on and go to the next phase of his life, right? Spend time with his kids and his grandkids. But the timing of this just seems ironic to me. So let me know what you think, Couz's Corner family. Listen, as a reminder, please subscribe if you haven't. Please hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Please share this with anybody you know who likes college sports and who likes watching videos about college sports. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of future videos. All of that's free to do. With that, I'm signing off. Q Country Roads.